Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be looking at the teams that are threatened by relegation in the Premier League, and I'm going to be working out who is going down. It's the question everyone wants the answer for, and I'm going to be bringing it because I'm never wrong with my predictions at all. Before I get into it though, here's a quick shout out from our sponsors over at OneFootball. Just want to say a big shout out to our friends over at OneFootball. It's the ultimate platform for football fans across the world with everything you need from scores, fixtures, player stats, articles and social posts all in one place. If you want to check it out, you can download it using the first link in the description. Guys, if we could get 200 likes on this video, it would be amazing. I want you to let me know who your bottom three is going to be this season as well. Try and be non-biased. Try and do it, you know, just try and think about why and who you think is going down. Obviously, we all want Villa to go down, but let me know down in the comments below. So I'm going to be taking a look at the bottom 7 because I think they're the teams that are pretty much at risk of going down. Just above them is Crystal Palace on 33 points. Like, they could be dragged into it too. Who else have you got? Southampton on 34 points. I mean, they were in danger. They could definitely go back into danger, but the big win over Villa has helped push them clear a little bit. After that, you got Burnley, Everton, Arsenal. It would have been nice to see Arsenal go down, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's time to go! So I'm going to go through these from top to bottom, from 14th to 20th. So we're going to start with Newcastle. So Newcastle is an interesting one. They've got an amazing team on paper, but they're still in the mix a little bit. When Steve Bruce was appointed the manager, it's fair to say that fans weren't exactly happy. They weren't happy. And I feel for Steve Bruce because, I mean, I was about to say he's a friend of mine. He's not a friend of mine. We've never met. But I like the guy. I like the guy. He's a good bloke. He's one of the good guys in football, I think. And you know what? He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. He was successful at Birmingham City for the majority of the time he was there. And it was a shame to see him go. He didn't deserve any of the treatment he got when he was at Villa. But yeah, it's good to see him doing fairly okay. I think the main thing with Newcastle is they've got a really good squad and they've had some good signings, so I can't really see them going down. They've got 31 points so far, so with the quality of players that they've got, I can't really see them going down. So thanks, Mike Ashley. No? No? Okay. Next up we have Brighton, who are sat in 15th place with 28 points, which is just 4 clear of the relegation zone. They're in danger. I'm a big fan of Graham Potter. You know, he was rumoured to come to Blues at one point. He plays good football. We've seen that with Brighton in the Premier League, but it's been difficult for him. And the thing is, they've played good football. They've made it difficult for teams to beat them, but they are more like draw specialists. They've got 10 draws this season. There's only 2 teams in the Premier League with more draws than them, and that's Wolves and Arsenal. And you just think if they could start to turn those draws into wins, they might be able to worry a little bit less come the end of the season. 4 of those draws came in the last 5 games as well, so they've done well at shutting teams out. It's just being able to turn those into wins for me. I think they will stay up, but it's not going to be pretty for them. I just think there are worse teams in the league than them. On another season, it might have been a case where they go down, but you know, like I say, 28 points. They're not doing too badly. I just think they need 1 or 2 wins to start to clear their mind a little bit. Make them worry a little bit less about that. Next up, in 16th place, we've got Bournemouth, who are sat on 26 points. That's just 2 points clear of the drop. Eddie Howe has obviously been touted as one of the best young English managers out there, and this is a real test for him. And we're going to see a lot about his character, a lot about how he copes under this kind of pressure. Especially after the result at Burnley, a 2-0 loss at Burnley. They had a few good chances to score some goals there. One of the big crazy decisions, probably the craziest decision in VAR so far, was the fact that they thought they'd equalised, only for it to be pulled back for a penalty to Burnley. That one's got to hurt, especially when you're fighting against relegation. You got to think, how is that going to affect the mentality of the players and that? But that's something that Eddie Howe's got to work with. He's got to instill that belief in the team to be able to fight through. They've got some massive games coming up against some of the top sides in the division, and I don't want them to go down, but I just think this season it is going to happen for them. I can see them going down. I'm going to put them 19th place come the end of the season. Sorry, Bournemouth fans. Next up, we've got Villa, who sit in 17th place, just 1 point outside the bottom 3. They've been quite lucky because they've lost their last 3 games, but the teams below them aren't being able to pick up those wins. I did think last night West Ham were going to get something against Liverpool. That would have forced them to drop down into the bottom 3, so they are walking on a tightrope currently. Everyone seems to think they're going to go down this season, but I don't know if I can see it. like, you can see they've got good players. People can say they've recruited a little bit wrong. Dean Smith was going for sort of, you could say, sort of championship-esque players. Obviously, the Wesley signing didn't come off. They've brought in Samatta, and it could be a case of whether he does well. Jack Grealish has been carrying them through this season, really. If he weren't playing there, they would be destined for relegation already. But they've got a hope now, to be fair, unfortunately. Obviously, they've had this cup run. They're in the cup final on Sunday, and looking at it like that, it makes you think that they've got the ability, they've got the determination when it comes to those cup games, like they can be bothered for it. But can they be bothered in the league? Are people getting on their backs? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And you've got to think, how long is this going to continue before people start to get really worried and really angry, potentially, at Dean Smith? You know, I'm trying not to look at it with any bias. Obviously, with me being a Blues fan, I do want them to go down. They've obviously lost McGinn. He's been out for a while, but I think he's going to be back before the end of the season. And when he comes back, they'll be a lot more sure in midfield. They'll feel a lot more confident, and they'll have a lot more goals in their game. And I think it's such a fine line for them. They've been floating around that bottom three, in and out of it, that I think once they go on some sort of run, they'll be all right. They've got a load of big fixtures coming up. They're the only team in the Premier League not to beat one of the big six. It says a lot. You've got to judge it on how they play against the teams around them. And surprisingly, they tend to not do too well. They lost to Watford. They lost to Southampton last week. They've had opportunities to pick up points. And I feel like they're going to have to do that against the bigger sides now. But for me, I don't know why I can see them staying up, just because they're jammy. They could well do a Blues, win the cup and go down. I hope not. I think they'll do the reverse. I think they will just about lose the cup. It'll be a tight game, and they will stay up. They face West Ham on the last day of the season, so that could be a massive game for them, for both sides actually. So could be a decent Super Sunday. So some of the teams that Villa still have to face this season: Leicester, Chelsea, Wolverhampton, Liverpool, Manchester United, Everton, Arsenal. So you've got to think they've got to start beating teams around them. They have to, or else they will be destined to go down. But I think they're just going to scrape it. We'll have to see. It all depends on if the teams below them can actually start picking up points. Do you think they're going to stay up or go down? Let me know in the comments below. Right, now we're going into the teams that are currently sat in the bottom three. That's West Ham, Watford and Norwich. So we're going to start with West Ham. Like, West Ham have really showed that they can play football. Obviously, they've got a great side on paper. But you've got to say, the signing of David Moyes to turn your season around isn't the most inspiring of signings. Obviously, he's got an amazing record in the Premier League. But, like, you know the way that when Nigel Pearson came to Watford, they all just sort of had a boost in motivation. I feel like you see David Moyes come through the door, you're just like, it's like your uncle that's like on the edge. He's come to the dinner party and he's just sort of lowered the tone a little bit. It doesn't inspire to like instantly want to win games and stuff, but I do think that he will have an effect, more of a long-term effect. They need to start winning games. I think they've only won one since he's signed as the manager. But if you look at their most recent game against Liverpool, they looked a much better side. They've clearly got a good side on paper. And as much as I'd love to see that stadium in the Championship, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just going to have enough to stay up. Like I say, they played Liverpool and they probably would have got something. They could have even won it if it weren't for a couple of goalkeeping errors. So they can play football. I just think they've got that little bit of quality, that little bit of established quality that will see them through and allow them to stay up. But it will be tight for them. And I do think David Moyes probably isn't the right manager for them. Maybe they'll look for someone else in the summer. Next up, we've got Watford, who are sat in 19th place, second bottom with 24 points, equal with West Ham and only 1 point off safety. Now, they had a terrible start to the season, but like I say, when Nigel Pearson came in, everything lifted. They started winning games. They looked really good. And when Troy Deeney returned from injury, he just seemed to inspire them to be able to win games. Now that initial new manager buzz has kind of worn off, it's about now whether they can crack on and go through the gears and try and stay up, because they're on 24 points now, but they've only got 2 from their last 5 games, so they need to start picking up points somewhere. The worrying thing is the gap isn't that big at the minute between them and safety, but they do face Liverpool next, and you've got to see, like, you've got to think where this next win is going to come from. Liverpool are absolutely dominant. You've got to chalk that off as a loss even in this league, and it's about that mentality and hoping that gap doesn't get too big, because I don't know. I don't know if Watford I think they had a little bit of momentum, and I think it's starting to wear off, and I don't know if they're going to have enough to stay up, because there's a lot of similar teams around them. If they do, I think Troy Deeney is going to have a lot to do with it. He's that spearhead in attack. He's that guy in the dressing room that's lifting everyone. And I hope he can carry them through and carry them to safety, to be honest. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to go down. Finally, we've got Norwich, and I think you know what I'm going to say with this one. You know, they started the season looking an exciting team. Pookie was continuing his goal-scoring form that helped get Norwich promoted into the Premier League. He was lighting it up. Everyone was loving him. Everyone was having him in their fantasy dream team. He's still in mine because I haven't touched it since October. And yeah, like, they looked good. But unfortunately for them, you know, as much as they've tried to go up and play their way, which I massively respect, I think they've been somewhat unlucky with injuries as well. And I think now, looking at it, 7 points off safety, it's going to be very difficult for them. I don't think there's a way back for them. And I think even the most positive of Norwich fans would probably agree with me that they are going to go down. I think for them, it's more about, okay, let's go down, let's regroup and try and get back up and give it another go. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. The thing is, if they go down, they've still got a great manager. They're still a good side. You know, if they hold on to some of their good players, you never know, they might be back up. But I think this season, it's a no from me. They're going down. They've won the least amount of games in the Premier League. Just 4 wins and 6 draws with 17 losses. It's not very nice at all, is it? So for me, it's Watford, Bournemouth and Norwich that are going down. Although obviously I hope Villa go down, but I don't know. They're a bit jammy, and I feel like there's just a bit more about them, even though they're not really showing it at the minute. That's what I think anyway. Let me know down in the comments below what you think it's going to be this season. Who do you think is going to go down? But that's it from me anyway. Let me know down in the comments below who you think is going to go down this season, and I'll reply to as many as I can. Make sure you like the video. Let's try and hit 200 likes on the video. And if you enjoyed this, why not hit that little subscribe button? It makes me happy. And if you want to be extra nice, hit the notification bell too. Because if you hit the notification bell, then it informs you of every time I upload, so you get to see this little mug all the time. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep right on.